You know, I'm starting to realize something about being here. Not everything needs to be a moment. Not everything needs a headline. Not everything needs a lesson n- neatly wrapped up with a bow on it. Some weeks don't announce themselves at all. They don't shout and they don't perform. They just unfold. And actually, those are the weeks that seem to tell you the most, if you're quiet enough to notice them. This week started far too early. And when I say early, I don't mean early for normal people, which, to be completely honest, is already early for me. I mean, 4:30 in the morning, that strange time of day when your body is technically awake, your brain absolutely is not, and you're just trusting the version of yourself the night before you confidently said, yeah, this is a good idea. Anyway, by 5 p.m., we were in a taxi. And when I say in a taxi, I mean present but not fully alive, heading out to a place called Mesa Eco Park in Quezon City, which, just to clarify, I now pronounce Quezon City, because if you don't, people look at you as if you've ordered a double espresso after dinner. We went bird watching with a local guide called Mark Gee, and I'll leave his details below if anyone's here and they want to do this. And you know, when you meet someone and you instantly think, oh, you really know this place. Not in a loud way, not in a let me impress you way, not a here are 17 facts before you've even set foot in the park way. More like, slow down, look there, listen to this, which honestly is exactly what I needed. Before this, if you'd asked me what bird watching involved, I would have probably said standing still, looking at trees, occasionally nodding thoughtfully, as if I knew what I was doing. That's not what happened. We walked and walked and walked. I checked my phone later, about 15,000 steps. By the end of it, my legs were sending formal complaints, drafting emails, escalating the issue. But weirdly, I didn't want it to stop. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other somehow. At the start, Mark would say things like, oh, look over there. There's a rare such and such. And I'm looking, and all I can see is leaves, just leaves, lots of them, identical leaves. At one point, I'm thinking, is this a test? Am I failing bird watching here? But Mark was incredibly patient, and slowly, very slowly, something shifted. I started to get my eye in, and once that happened, I couldn't unsee them. There were birds always there. I just hadn't noticed or learned how to notice them yet. Which, now that I come to think of it, feels a lot like a lot of things over here lately. I had my camera with me, the on one with a long lens, and over the day it gave me plenty of practice. And with Mark's help, we saw loads of birds. And yes, I've got loads of photos, and I'm still figuring out how I want to share them. Because I could tell you names, stats, wingspans, scientific stuff, but that wasn't the point of the morning. The point for me was learning how to notice and getting used to using a new camera with a big lens. So I'm going to show you a few while I carry on and let them breathe and let them be what they are. So while we were there, I also learned a little bit about La Mesa itself. It's one of those places that quietly does an enormous job protecting water, preserving green space, and giving the city room to breathe. And in the middle of it, we saw a statue, a man and a woman standing on a turtle. And later, Mark mentioned the story behind it. Some Filipino creation stories say that humans came from bamboo, and others say the world rests on a giant turtle. And when the balance is disturbed, the turtle moves, which causes earthquakes. Now, I'm really into mythology, but I'm not here to give a mythology lecture. But what stayed with me wasn't the details of it, it was the idea that humans come from nature and that we depend on its patience. And that, and that when we forget that, everything feels it. I actually love these stories because they don't place humans above nature. They place us within it, not separate, not dominant, just part of the ecosystem. And honestly, that feels something like we've often forgotten. By the time we got back, we were absolutely done, like well done. You know, that kind of tired where you don't even complain anymore because you simply don't have the energy. I stood in the shower and I genuinely didn't have the strength to lift the soap, you know, not a metaphor, a real moment. I collapsed on the sofa around 6 at night and slept for 15 hours straight. Thursday was a very different energy. A slow walk to Market, and we tried Alo Alo. If you've never tried Alo Alo, it's the best description I can give you is this. It's like someone looked at a dessert menu, panicked and just put everything in. Mix, which helpfully is what the name actually means. Ice, sweet beans, fruit, jelly, things I don't fully understand. It's sort of like a Filipino trifle, if trifle had had a very interesting life. It's a bit chaotic and a bit confusing, but somehow it totally works. You could say it's a trifle bizarre. And yes, I'm now officially working my way through the Hello Hello menu. So it may take some time. I'm committed to the process. Friday was quieter. I had some work to do, emails, admin, real life following you across the world, and that's fine. One routine we're getting into is cooking rice and vegetables at home and then popping to a place just down the road called Marketplace. And I buy about 200 grams of cooked meat. So we had calamansi chicken, and then I bring it home, and then we add the rice and veg. The great thing about that is it's about 80 pesos per 100 grams, so roughly a pound per serving, and it's simple and tasty, and it's a really good way to keep costs sensible. Saturday, we went to Festival Mall in Alabang, and I really liked it. Busy, not suffocating, more open, more breathable, and less vertical. Prices were cheaper than BGC, and it's right on the southern edge of Manila. The air genuinely felt cleaner. There was something about it that just worked. We also met someone that watches the channel, a local Filipino, and honestly, that was one of my favourite moments of the week. They gave us a proper practical advice, not dramatic and not scary, just calm, sensible stuff. We talked about earthquakes, which is something I've never actually experienced. And it's one of those conversations that starts casually and then suddenly you're thinking, right, I probably should know this. So if there is an earthquake and I'm calmly exiting with a phone charger and a half a bottle of water, you'll know why. And that sort of sums up the week. Nothing flashy, nothing viral. Um, just walking, listening, and being tired in a good way. I don't feel like I'm on holiday anymore. In a couple of weeks, we head to Mindoro, mostly beach, uh, a few adventures, waterfalls, snorkeling. And I'm definitely going to try and see the Tamarau. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a dwarf buffalo. Um, that's hopefully going to be happening. So yeah, that's my update. Weeks like this don't shout, they don't demand attention, they just quietly adjust you. And right now, that's exactly what I needed. So thanks for watching. This is Spence Unpacked, and I'll see you on the next one.